All right, this is the Cortez City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, and this time is now 7:30 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Can we, Linda, can we have the roll call?
DeHaven.
Here.
Yazzie. Here. Rainey.
Here.
Dobry.
Here.
Kiefhofer.
Here.
Spruill.
Here.
Medina.
Here. All right, we have a quorum tonight. And then do we have an approval of the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for April 11th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by DeHaven.
Kiefhofer.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Spruill.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're going to move on to number 2 on our agenda, the consent agenda. The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. Either the public or a council member may request that an item may be removed from the consent agenda at this time prior to council's vote. On the consent agenda is A, approval of the council work session and agenda minutes of March 28th, 2023. B, approval of the expenditure list of April 11th, 2023. C, approval of a renewal fermented malt beverage liquor license for Worldwide Restaurant Corporation, DBA Pizza Hut of Cortez, located at 1119 East Main Street, Cortez. And D, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for La Casita de Cortez, LLC, DBA La Casita de Cortez, located at 332 East Main Street, Cortez. Would a citizen or council member wish to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda, or do we have a motion as presented?
I'd like to make a motion that council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion made by DeHaven and seconded by Yazzie.
Spruill.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Kiefhofer.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're on number 3 on our agenda, public participation. There's no limit to the number of speakers, although public comment will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes for this section. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. Okay. Do you have, or Linda's making sure there's no comment cards filled out first. Nothing? Okay. All right. Dan, do you want to wait till the Heritage Museum agenda item? Because I can call you up for that if it's specific, or if it's for something on our agenda. Okay. All right. Seeing no public participation. 4 is presentations, we have none. 5 is public hearings, we have none. 6 is unfinished business, we have none. And so 7 is new business. A letter of support for the Montezuma Heritage Museum. Would you like to get up and talk about it? Thank you. So then state your name and address. Well, not your address, I guess. Yeah, make sure
All
it's
right.
green.
So my name is Jeff Brown. I'm the interim executive director from the Montezuma Heritage Museum at 35 South Chestnut. I'd like to thank the Madam Mayor and the council for a letter of support, hopefully, for the museum. It's in regards to a Region 9 contribution project. Within this project, it'll provide funding for the museum in the form of tax credits. So if somebody were to donate to the museum, they get up, if they want to do it 400 times, they could get up to $100,000 in tax credits, which then the museum could turn around and use to invest in advertising, to put more heads in beds, and keep people longer here in the community, which is the end goal, and as well as to see the museum, of course.
Great.
Any questions from the council, or?
What are the museum's hours?
So the museum right now is on winter hours. That is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 12 to 4. Here, May 1st, we'll go to the summer season hours, which will be Tuesday through Saturday from 10 until 4.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, any questions from council or a motion on this?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that council authorize the mayor to sign the letter of support for the Montezuma Heritage Museum designation to become an enterprise zone contribution project.
Second.
Motion made by Yazzie and seconded by Kiefhoffer.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Spruill.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, thanks for coming tonight. Okay, we're going to move on to 7B on the agenda, a letter of support for Montezuma County Office of Economic Development.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from this item because I am working on this in my job for the county.
Okay. All right, we'll wait for Robert to leave and then we'll call you back when we're done.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We'd like to present to you a letter of support for the Montezuma County Office of Economic Development. In this case, the county has actually requested a letter of support for the Colorado Opportunity Now grant. The grant will help create a pilot pathways program designed to develop opportunities for students and workers within our creative and experience within our creative and experience industries of Montezuma County. Is designed to help develop a workforce amongst the youth and to meet the demand of our growing creative economy through project-based learning, guided by paid mentors from within the current local creative industries. To understand the conditions needed for the creative industries, which are products, services, experiences, and transformation to thrive in Montezuma County in a way that creates well-paying, rewarding jobs for our young people who want to work in those areas and boost the economic viability of Montezuma County. Staff helped draft this and recommends the council authorize the mayor to sign this.
All right. Sounds like a great program. Any questions from council or a motion on?
Normally, I don't support opportunities to support students. I'd like to make the motion that council authorize the mayor to sign the letter of support for the Colorado Opportunity Now grant submitted by the Montezuma County Office of Economic Development.
Second.
Motion made by Kiefhoffer and seconded by Rainey and DeHaven at the.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Rainey.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Spruill.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, so now we're on 7C on the agenda, resolution number 8, series 2023, presented by our contract city planner, Nancy Dahlsall.
Good evening. I can't get the site plan to come up, so I'm going to explain to you where this proposal is. It's located at 111 West 1st Street in an existing parking, oh, there it is, parking lot. Just wasn't patient enough. Located right there, just south of the Montezuma Heritage Museum, which you just talked about. So it's existing parking lot, but it does not serve any existing use at this time. The request is by the owners to be able to operate a seasonal, what we're calling a flea market on the property, and I'll explain that in a little bit here. The intent is actually more of a farmer's market with some artist booths. It is designed specifically to not conflict with the existing Cortez Flea Market in that the hours are proposed to be different than the farmer's market. So the idea here is in our code, under neighborhood business zone, flea markets are allowed, and that is the closest definition to what they're proposing. They are, however, not proposing to sell usual flea market items. It won't be used items. It will be produce locally and handcrafted items. They'd also like to, on occasion, have local musicians to help attract people to the site. The hours, it'll be seasonal, so spring, summer, fall, limited to Saturdays from 12 to 4 p.m. Additional hours would be needed for setup breakdown. The Planning Commission has already reviewed this, and they have recommended approval. Staff has also recommended approval. Existing uses other than to the north, Heritage Museum, are commercial. The city free public parking is to the west, and south is a vacant lot. East, west, and south are all neighborhood business zones, and to the north is the central business district. So I guess under discussion, that this use as submitted is a bit unusual in that there are no permanent construction proposed, no permanent anything on the site. The site is already developed as a parking lot with paving and landscaping. The most applicable uses with issues with this use are more along the lines of public health, safety, order, convenience, and general welfare. We did get a number of comments. You see some detailed comments from Creighton Wright there. Most of those were addressed with a revised narrative and more details from the applicant just before the Planning Commission meeting, but after Creighton provided comments. Other than that, as I said, that the staff and Planning Commission have recommended approval. We've provided a number of conditions, mostly to address sort of the seasonal nature, cleanup, hours of operation, keeping noise at a reasonable level, and that it remain a seasonal use. Are there any questions?
So is that adjacent to the city-owned parking lot to
Yes.
the west? Is that what
This
that
is the
Okay.
city-owned parking lot here, and the use itself is proposed right. The applicants are also present if you'd like to hear from them.
Yeah, if they'd like to speak on, you don't have to, but. Okay. No, you'll come to the microphone, just so the public can hear you too that watches the video.
Chris Lindell.
Great.
And do you want me to?
Yeah, if you just want to tell us about
Sure.
this a little.
Pitch it a little bit. Well, I think that the location's great for it. I've talked to Cortez Farmers Market. You know, they have some vendors, food trucks, et cetera, that now maybe want to not stop at noon because they run till noon. So we could then maybe pick up some of that schedule from 12 to 4. We're not quite sure what we're doing on it because we didn't know how the permitting would go. We have not spoken, we don't have vendors yet. So it may not even happen this year, but we are going to try to start talking as soon as we get through the process and set up something. You know, there's such a precedent for art markets throughout the country that we thought it might be a nice thing to give it a shot and see how it could bring bring people downtown and to the Heritage Museum being right there and all the restaurants and everything. So it's basically my pitch.
Great.
Chris, would there be food vendors there as well, like a pop-up?
Yeah, we're hoping, that maybe food trucks and/or pop-ups. Yeah. We
Well-
have water and electricity on site.
Will you be having like porta johns or temporary
Yes,
restrooms?
temporary bathroom, yeah.
Great.
Well, I'm glad to see something happening with that parking lot, because I saw some work being done a few years ago. And it's nice to see something that'll be supplemental to the farmer's market to kind of extend that, and just bring some more vibrancy downtown.
And I don't know if it's appropriate to speak to it here, but maybe in the future, there's a plaza of some sort that we could develop and you know, bring that downtown, a little bit more downtown. We intend to keep it a green space as much as we can, and maybe start reclaiming asphalt and whatnot, and develop more green ways of approaching that property.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for coming up.
Thank you for your time.
I move that council approve resolution number 8, series 2023, a resolution approving a site plan for a flea market / farmer's market to be located in the property of 111 West First Street, zoned neighborhood business.
Second.
A motion made by DeHaven and seconded by Dobry.
Rainey.
Aye.
Spruill.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Yazzie.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, great. 8 on our agenda, draft resolutions and ordinances. We don't have any. So 9 on the agenda is city attorney report.
Nothing to report that's available for public consumption. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Thanks, Pat. All right, we'll move on to 10 on our agenda, our city manager report.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. Several items this evening, a little bit longer than I normally do, but it's important, I think, we get this information out. First of all, involves the land use code and housing policy update. Just wanted to announce to Council and through you to the community that there will be some community listening sessions on the land use code coming up starting Tuesday, April 24th through Friday, April 28th, and more information will be forthcoming on that. Next on the agenda is the flooding within Montezuma County has stimulated some opportunity to review and accomplish an update of our emergency operations plan, which is now in progress. Our last update was in 2018. The chief of police and our emergency manager, Lori Johnson, and I had a chance to review that recently. We really need to do an update. So that is in progress, and we will get that out soon. Next, the Southwest Conservation District Conference was attended by 5 city staffers, and including our mayor. And this was last Friday, or a week from last Friday, sorry, I lost a week there. Friday, March 31st, it was over at the casino in Ignacio. A great event. There was an awful lot of information shared, some good connections that networking that was done by us, and we're really looking forward to continuing our conservation efforts. Also wanted to report that the senior staff retreat was a success. We got an awful lot of business done, and we are now ready to host the city council retreat, which is scheduled for April 29th of this year. Next, the meeting has been scheduled with our local marijuana retailers for April 17th in this room at 3 p.m. And we'll be discussing their decrease in revenues and other concerns that they may have. They're in some tougher times right now, and we're trying to be proactive, engage in some outreach early on with them to try to see what the city can do to assist. Also, we held a meeting on Monday with CDOT regarding the South Broadway issue. We have not forgot about that. We presented a lot of local data that was generated from here. We provided some recommendations, and we provided current crash data that they did not have. And with that, some more information will be coming out to council, a little more detailed on this, but the reality is we're really back to they need an engineering study of their own done before they can do anything else with speed limits or anything. So more information will be forthcoming with that, but the important part of that is we have invited them to address you, council, in May, and I believe that's the first meeting that we scheduled them for, so you'll have a chance to ask your own questions at that point. Also, I wanted to report that 2 arrests have been made on graffiti offenses that occurred down at the old Walmart building in the Cortez Plaza. It was not the infamous Woozy, but they're still working on that. But at least we got 2 arrests here. And then finally, council, and I emailed this to you all today, but I would like to point this out to the community as well as our staffers. There's just one part of this story that talks about auditors failed to flag risks building up to the troubled banks, and this is in regard to the recently failed Silicon Valley Bank. And then they mention in here when KPMG LLP, which they are considered one of the top 4 auditing firms in the country, 14 days before the failure, they gave Silicon Valley Bank a clean bill of health. With that, they did flag potential losses on loans as a so-called critical audit matter, which is very standard in banking audits. But it was actually silent on what was actually their problem, which was unrealized bond losses and the ability to hold them to given a reliance on potentially flighty deposits. And then this quote here I wanted to share, which is, I think hits the mark. Quote, the auditors failed to mention the fire in the basement or the box of dynamite on the first floor, but they did point out the peeling paint on the flower box. And that was a quote from Eric Gordon of the University of Michigan, who is a business professor. I only bring this up to point out the importance of audits. And, we're clearly going through those sort of things. But one thing that I would like to reassure the council on, and of course the community as well, is that our auditing firm has done a very good job of holding us accountable, which is what we are seeking. We seek the scrutiny. We feel like we're doing things right, and if we're doing something wrong, we want to know about it, but we seek that scrutiny on purpose and to avoid these very sort of things. We're not a bank, obviously, but these sort of things can bleed over into things like into organizations like us. So we're on it. We're working diligently to ensure that the city's vital funds are well cared for and accounted for, and I just wanted to point that out to council. So that's all I have this evening. Thanks you for listening.
All right, thank you, Drew. That was a lot of great information. Okay, now we're on 11, City Council Committee Reports. Mayor's report on the workshop. We did not have a workshop tonight, so we'll move on to other board reports. We'll start with David. Do you have any board reports for us tonight? Okay, that's fine.
I just have a quick report from the Historic Preservation Board. The 13th Annual Historic Preservation Day is on May 13th, and we'll focus on auto tourism from the 1950s and 60s.
Cool. Matt? No board?
I just wanted to let the council know that Teddy Bear Child Care Center in Dolores closed their infant room recently, so that means that there's only one child care center in our county that takes babies. Staffing.
So childcare is much needed in our community. All right, on 12, other items of business. We don't have an executive session tonight. Public participation? Seeing none, okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, a motion made by Dobry, seconded by DeHaven. Am I making this meeting too short?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, a motion made by Dobry and seconded by DeHaven to adjourn.
Thank you. Dobry?
Aye.
Kiefhoffer?
Aye.
Spruill?
Aye.
Rainey?
Aye.
DeHaven?
Aye.
Yazzie?
Hi.
Medina?
Aye.
Apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. The days are getting longer. Go get outside. I was trying.